welcome to your sleep story. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Whatever this day was, however long it felt, however much it carried, it is behind you now, completely behind you. You made it through, and that is everything. So let's begin. Before I take you anywhere tonight, I want to count you down from 10 to 1. And as I count, I want you to allow yourself to sink just a little deeper into wherever you are right now. Feel the weight of your body. Feel what is beneath you, holding you. And with each number, just let go a little more. 10. Allow your eyes to close, gently, completely. There is nothing you need to see right now. 9. Feel your shoulders and let them drop as far as they want to go. 8. A slow breath in through the nose. 7. And all the way out. 6. Your hands. Feel them opening. Whatever you've been holding today, you can put it down now. 5. Your jaw is soft. Your face is soft. 4. Your legs are heavy, warm. 3. You're drifting, not asleep yet, but moving that way. 2. The day is behind you, completely and entirely behind you. 1. And now, tonight's sleep story, the relaxation. Before we go anywhere, I want to stay here with you for a moment. Just here, just now, because this moment, this exact moment right now, where you are lying in the quiet, deserves a little attention, a little kindness. Take a breath in for me, from the very bottom of the belly. Good. And let it go. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine that everything you were carrying today, every worry, every unfinished thought, every heavy thing is just leaving with that breath, just drifting away. You don't have to solve anything tonight. You don't have to figure anything out. You don't have to be anything other than exactly what you are right now. A person who deserves rest. A person who deserves sleep. Because you do. You really do. Whatever happened today, however hard it felt, however much it carried, you made it through. You are here. And that is enough. That is more than enough. You are safe. And you are here. Bring your awareness gently to your feet now. Just notice them and allow them to soften. The toes uncurling, the arches releasing. All the small held tension of the day simply letting go. Let that softness travel upward, through the calves, through the knees, the thighs. All of it warm. All of it heavy, all of it resting now. Your lower back, your hips. Allow yourself to feel the surface beneath you taking your weight completely, fully. You don't have to hold yourself up anymore. The sea has you. The slow rocking has you. The belly soft. The chest soft. The heart beating steadily as it always has, as it always will. Your shoulders dropping, your arms heavy and warm, your hands open and still, the neck long and loose, and your face, let the jaw go. Let the forehead smooth. Let the eyes be completely still behind their lids. There you are, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, completely soft, completely warm, completely at rest. You've done beautifully. Now, let me take you somewhere the North Atlantic pushes its long, deep swells through the sounds and channels between the Scottish islands. And a small Calmac ferry sits lower in the water than you might expect. And the lights of the last mainland port have been behind you for 20 minutes. And the islands ahead are dark shapes against a sky already showing its first serious stars. Come with me. The ferry terminal, 8 dusk. Imagine a ferry terminal in Western Scotland, not Oban or Ullapool on a busy summer Saturday. Those are full of cars and caravans and the particular organized chaos of a major island gateway. Something smaller, a terminal that handles perhaps 3 or 4 departures a day. That serves one of the smaller, less visited islands of the inner or outer Hebrides. That has a single small waiting room and a single ticket window and a car deck that accommodates perhaps 16 vehicles if the mix is right. The evening is September. The long Scottish summer light is beginning to go, but has not yet entirely gone. There is still a pale, luminous quality to the sky in the west, over the water, that is neither daylight nor darkness, but the particular, beautiful, extended northern twilight that these latitudes offer in a way that lower latitudes cannot. A smell, the smell of a Scottish West Coast ferry terminal in September, is very specific, very complete, and entirely unmistakable to anyone who has encountered it before. Salt and diesel, and the particular, slightly organic smell of sheltered seawater against stone. The water that sloshes in the ferry berth, brownish green like Murray River water, but heavier, colder, carrying the particular density of the Atlantic rather than any inland river. Sheep. There are sheep on the car deck. Not many, 3 or 4, in a small trailer being taken back to the island by a farmer who bought them at the mainland mart. But enough that they're particular warm. Lanolin and wool smell threads through the general harbor atmosphere with the easy, unself-conscious assurance of an animal that belongs here as completely as the water does. The ferry itself, lit at all its windows, sits at its berth. White hull, black funnel with the red and white stripe of Calmac, Caledonian, Mac Brain. The ferry company that has been connecting the Scottish islands to the mainland for over a century, whose vessels are so thoroughly woven into the texture of island life across the Hebrides that they are simply part of how the world works, as unremarkable and as essential as the post. You walk aboard. The vessel, she is not new. Calmac's smaller island ferries tend toward a certain comfortable shabbiness, well-maintained, entirely seaworthy, but not designed for glamour. The design philosophy being robustly practical in the way that working vessels serving working communities have always been robustly practical. The car deck, forward the smell of engine oil and salt, and wet steel, and the sheep in their trailer. The stairs up to the passenger saloon, their non-slip treads worn down in the centers, exactly where feet have been going for years. The saloon itself, bench seating in the familiar Calmac blue, the upholstery slightly worn at the armrests, the windows salt-hazed despite whatever cleaning they receive between crossings, a small cafeteria counter at the far end, lit brightly, its tea urns and bacon roll capabilities either already activated or pending activation, depending on the time of day, and the cook's own schedule. And this is what you have been hopping for, a row of forward-facing windows at the saloon's bow end, through which the sea ahead is entirely, unobstructedly visible. You take the seat in the corner. The engines change their note. The ferry moves. The first breath, the saloon smell, diesel faintly from the engines below, never entirely absent on any working ship, simply part of the atmosphere. The particular slightly damp, slightly salt smell of a Scottish ferry saloon in autumn. The passengers coming and going have brought the outside air in with them, their waterproof jackets carrying the harbor smell, their boots carrying whatever the car park's puddles contributed. Mince rolls. The cafeteria counter, it turns out, is operational, and someone has ordered one of the hot food options. And the particular, warm, entirely unambiguous smell of a toasted roll filled with some species of Scottish savory mince is drifting back from the counter with the cheerful indifference of a smell that knows it belongs here and doesn't particularly care whether you agree. Tea, the enormous stainless steel urns producing their steady, slightly overbrewed contribution to the atmosphere, and through the forward windows, through the glass that is already beginning to attract the first traces of sea spray as the ferry clears the breakwater and meets the open water, the smell becomes something else entirely. The sea itself, cold, Atlantic cold, the North Atlantic's particular cold, not the Mediterranean's warm, mineral, ancient salt, not even the Cape Cod shore's brisk autumn bite, but something more fundamental, more simply cold. The cold of water that has come across a very large ocean without encountering much to warm it along the way. You breathe it. Your lungs appreciate it in the particular way that lungs appreciate cold, clean, salt air. A slight opening, a slight freshening, a clearing of whatever the day's interior air has left behind. Morag. She is 59 years old. Her name is Morag. She has worked this particular ferry run for 22 years. The same vessel, more or less, the same route, the same crossings morning and evening, and the occasional late sailing, 5 or 6 days a week across the working year. The particular rhythm of the timetable, as familiar to her body as her own heartbeat. She is at the cafeteria counter, not making tea at this precise moment. The evening sailing carries few enough passengers that the counter runs at reduced capacity. The urns kept warm, but the full cooking operation not operating until someone specifically orders something. She is doing the kind of standing tidying that any person who works a counter performs during the quiet moments between actual tasks. Wiping a surface that does not particularly need wiping. Adjusting a jar that is perfectly well placed. The small, constant, nearly unconscious maintenance of a workspace that constitutes its own quiet form of professional self-respect. She knows this fairy the way Nikos knows his Greek island fairy. Every passenger's particular needs before they have fully articulated them. Every crossing's particular demands across every season's particular weather. The specific way this vessel moves in the swells that come through the Sound of Mull in a southwest gale versus the different, shorter, choppier motion of a north wind in the more exposed stretch approaching the island. She knows the regulars. There are not many on this evening sailing. 2 or 3 islanders returning home from mainland business. A couple who appear to be tourists heading out for an end-of-season island stay. The farmer with his sheep. She exchanges a few words with one of the islanders. A man in his 50s who catches the evening ferry every fortnight when his mainland work schedule brings him through, whose name she knows, whose preferences she knows without asking. Black tea, no milk. She pours it before he reaches the counter. He accepts it with the particular, brief, appreciating nod of a man who has had the same transaction with the same person enough times that the whole operation has distilled itself into something almost wordless. This is, Mosaic thinks without thinking it precisely, the part of the work she has always found most satisfying. The passage, the ferry is now fully in open water. The mainland harbor lights are perhaps a kilometer behind, their reflection diminishing in the ferry's wake. The dark water closing the gap between vessel and shore with its own patient, continuous indifference. Ahead the Sound, the stretch of open water between the mainland and the island, 3 to 4 miles, depending on the exact route, deep enough in its center channel that the kelp beds visible in the shallows of both shores give way to a featureless, dark blue-black depth. The swells here are longer than in the harbor. The fetch of open water allowing the wind's energy to build into proper, rolling waves rather than the choppier patterns of enclosed water. The ferry rides them, not without motion. This vessel is too small, and the swells too real for any kind of genuinely stable crossing, but with a deliberate, steady, absolutely predictable rhythm. Up the face of the swell, over the crest, down the back, a pause, the next swell. This motion, once the initial adjustment to it settles, once the body finds its own way of accommodating the ferry's slow roll, is one of the most specifically, physically relaxing sensory experiences available anywhere, not because it is entirely comfortable, because it is completely honest. The sea is what it is, and the ferry is responding to it exactly as it should. And the passenger's body, once it stops trying to resist the motion and simply allows it, finds itself rocking in a rhythm that is older, and in its own way deeper than almost any other rhythm available to a person in an ordinary life. Your breathing slows to match it. You are being rocked by the North Atlantic on a small Scottish ferry on a September evening. You did not know before this moment that you needed exactly this, the Hebridean Sea. Let me tell you something about the sea through which this ferry is moving, because it deserves more than passing mention. The waters of the Hebrides, the inner Hebrides, the outer Hebrides, the channels and sounds and locks that thread between and around the 80 or so inhabited Scottish islands are among the most ecologically rich coastal waters in Europe. The cold, nutrient-rich water of the North Atlantic, pushed by the prevailing currents up and around the top of the British Isles and down the west coast of Scotland, carries with it the materials that support an extraordinary food web. The plankton, the small fish, the larger fish, the seabirds, and the marine mammals that make this coastline one of the best places in Northern Europe to encounter genuine wilderness in its full working reality. Minke whales pass through these waters. Harbor porpoises, Atlantic gray seals, hauled out on the skerries, and low rock shelves, their round heads bobbing in the ferry's wake as it passes. White-tailed eagles, the largest eagle in Europe, reintroduced to Scotland after a long absence, now established across the island habitats of the Hebrides, occasionally visible from the ferry's deck, their enormous wingspan unmistakable even at a distance. The black guillemots that nest in the stone harbor walls of almost every island, their brilliant white wing patches and red feet making them one of the most immediately recognizable birds of these waters. The gannets, entire colonies of them on the Great Rock, stacks to the northwest, their extraordinary plunge diving visible from the ferry on clear days. The birds arrowing into the water from 40 meters above the surface with a precision and a speed that make the dive seem, each time, almost impossible. All of this life in this cold, dark, apparently featureless water, moving through which, on a small white ferry with a stainless steel tea urn and a cafeteria counter, and a few dozen tired evening passengers, you are, in a literal sense, in the middle of one of the genuinely great wildlife places in Northern Europe. The island ahead, it appears gradually, not dramatically. The Scottish island approach is rarely dramatic in the Hollywood sense, more a slow materialization from the general dark of the water into something specific, something with an identifiable shape, a shape that those who know it would recognize from a great distance, and that strangers find, gradually, both larger and more detailed than they expected. Hills, the island rises from the sea in a way that mainland hills rarely do. Abruptly, completely, the water simply stopping at the island's base and the land beginning immediately, without the gradual approaches of a mainland coast. Dark now, the island's hills are dark shapes against the slightly lighter sky. their outline defining this particular island's particular silhouette, distinct from every other island's silhouette, in the way that every island's particular combination of peaks and ridgelines creates its own unmistakable signature against any evening sky. A scatter of lights along the shore, the village, the pier, the small hotel, its windows the warmest lights visible, and one particularly steady, particularly high light. A lighthouse or a navigation beacon on the headland above the harbor entrance, marking the safe passage between the island's rocks and the open sea. Morag, at the cafeteria counter, glances out the forward windows. She has seen this approach perhaps 3,000 times. She still looks. The cafeteria counter, ATC. There is something specific and particular about a ferry cafeteria counter that deserves its own moment of attention. Not for its cuisine, ferry catering operates at the intersection of practical necessity and modest ambition, and no honest account of it would claim more, but for what it is within the context of the crossing. On a vessel this size, with this number of passengers, on a route this remote, the cafeteria counter is not simply a food service point. It is the social center of the crossing, the place where the few passengers who are awake and not retreating into their own thoughts or their phones or the forward-facing view congregate. Briefly, casually, without particular intention, and exchange the few words that the particular suspended reality of a ferry crossing tends to loosen from even the most reserved Scottish passenger. Morag has heard many conversations at this counter across 22 years, not private ones. She does not remember those and would not repeat them if she did. Simply the ordinary, unremarkable, often pleasant conversations of people who share an hour on a small boat and find themselves, for that hour, temporarily neighbors in the most maritime sense of the word. The farmer discussing the sheep he is bringing home, the tourist couple asking about the island, receiving Morag's characteristically understated but genuinely informative assessment of what is worth seeing and what the weather is likely to do. The returning islander, saying nothing in particular, but saying it with the ease of someone who has always been at home on this water. This conversation, this small, warm, entirely ordinary exchange of human presence across a cafeteria counter, on a small ferry, crossing a dark Scottish sound. This is, in its way, as much a part of what this crossing is as the sea and the swells and the island emerging from the dark. What the crossing, TACHES, Morag has thought across 22 years of this route about what working these crossings has taught her. The crossing teaches, first, a different relationship with weather. On land, weather is something you experience from inside a building or a vehicle, something that affects your plans, that you check in advance, that you accommodate by adjusting your clothing or your schedule. At sea, in a vessel this size, weather is something you participate in. The wind is not background information. The swell is not an abstraction. They are physical realities that your body registers continuously, that the vessel you are aboard responds to visibly and tangibly, that require from everyone aboard, crew and passengers alike, a degree of physical adaptation that land-based life rarely demands. This has made Morag, across 22 years, considerably more comfortable with the simple fact of weather than most people who spend their working lives indoors. Not reckless, not dismissive of genuine danger. She has been on this vessel in conditions that she would not have chosen to be at sea in, and she has a clear-eyed understanding of what this sea can do when it decides to. But at ease with the fact that the weather is going to be what it is, that the sea is going to do what it does, that the ferry is going to move in response to both, and that her own job is simply to continue doing her job within whatever those conditions provide. This equanimity, earned through 22 years of continuous exposure to the reality of the sea's moods, from the glassy calms of a July dawn to the short, steep chop of a February westerly, is, she thinks, one of the most genuinely useful things her working life has given her. The crossing also teaches the value of the interval. A ferry crossing is, by its nature, an interval, a period of time between one place and another, during which neither the departure point nor the destination is present, during which the only reality is the vessel itself and the water it is crossing. This interval is, for many passengers, a period of transition, a space in which they begin the mental shift from wherever they have been to wherever they are going, finishing the mainland's concerns before arriving at the island's different scale and pace. Morag has observed this transition in passengers over many years and many crossings, with the patient, non-intrusive attention of someone whose job brings them into proximity with people at this particular transitional moment, people arriving at the island for a holiday beginning to visibly relax across the 20 or 30 minutes of the crossing, islanders returning from mainland business, settling back into a different, slower quality of presence. Even the tourists who came merely for the crossing itself, for the experience of the ferry rather than any particular destination, visibly changing somewhere mid-channel as the mainland recedes and the island approaches, and the sea, for a while, is simply the sea. This is the gift of the interval, the gift of a crossing, time that belongs neither to where you came from nor to where you are going, simply to the sea, simply to the now. The ship's bell on the wall of the passenger saloon, mounted near the door to the deck, a brass ship's bell, old, not the vessel's original bell. This ferry is a few decades old, and the bell predates it, reclaimed from an earlier vessel when that vessel was retired, and kept as a piece of the company's accumulated maritime heritage. The bell does not ring for navigational purposes. The way ship's bells once rang to mark the watches and the hours in the days before electronic timekeeping made such practices unnecessary. It simply hangs, its brass surface tarnished to a deep, warm gold, the vessel's former name engraved on its side in letters worn almost smooth by the hands that have touched it and polished it across the decades. Henry, the Cape Cod caretaker, would recognize in this bell something of the same accumulated authority that his lighthouse's beam carries. The particular weight of a thing that has been marking the sea's passages for many years, that has outlasted the vessel it was made for, that continues in a new context its old, patient service to the idea of maritime continuity. Morag polishes this bell every second week, not because anyone has instructed her to, simply because it is there, and it is brass, and it was someone's before it was this vessel's. And some forms of care require no further justification than this. The sheep in the trailer on the car deck. Let us visit them briefly, because they are, in their own entirely unconcerned way, one of the most distinctively Scottish elements of this whole crossing. 3 blackface ewes and a tup. Blackface sheep, the hardy, dark-faced, white-bodied breed that dominates the Scottish hills from Galloway to Caithness, built for exactly this landscape's particular combination of high rainfall, rough grazing, cold winters, and the kind of terrain that would defeat any less robust livestock. They are entirely unbothered by the crossing. They have crossed on this ferry before, or ferries very like it. The motion does not trouble them. The engine noise does not trouble them. The salt air, if anything, seems to suit them. Sheep are natural coastal grazers in many of their traditional Scottish habitats, the match-air grasslands of the island coasts being among the most productive and most ancient sheep pastures in Scotland. The animals evolved through centuries of selection to thrive in exactly this kind of Atlantic exposure. They stand quietly in their trailer. Occasionally, one shifts position. Occasionally, the tup puts his head over the trailer's rail and looks at the car deck with the philosophical, slightly unfocused expression of a blackface sheep, encountering any situation that does not immediately require his active attention. Then he withdraws, and they stand again, patient, warmed, entirely themselves. The sound of the crossing. Let me settle here with you and simply listen to what surrounds you. The engines, the man diesel engines that power this vessel, are considerably more powerful than anything you might expect from looking at the ferry's modest external dimensions. Island ferry engines are sized for the conditions they encounter, not for economical motorway cruising. And these engines can push this vessel through conditions that would make their apparent modesty seem very inadequate if you had not seen them do it. Tonight they run at cruise power, their note a steady, deep, thoroughly reliable thrum that you feel through the deck and through the bench seating and through your own body in the particular bodily way of mechanical vibration at sea. The sea against the hull, Each swell met at the bow, the water parting with a sound that changes with the sea state. On a night like tonight, relatively calm by Hebridean standards, a steady, moderate rush and hiss as the bow cuts through the water, and the hull's sides let the displaced water run back along them. The wind outside the saloon's windows, the wind across the open deck. Not a gale tonight, simply the moderate Atlantic breeze that accompanies most crossings in September. Its sound in the aerials and the ropes on the car deck, a continuous, variable whistle. The sheep, a very faint, barely audible low from the car deck below. One of the ewes briefly expressing something, quickly subsiding, and Moreg's tea urn, its quiet, nearly constant hiss of kept warm water. This is the sound of a Scottish island ferry crossing at night. Not dramatic, not glamorous, simply the accumulated, specific, completely honest sounds of a working vessel doing its working passage through a cold, dark, genuinely beautiful Scottish sea. The departure from the island, after the island, because this ferry makes the crossing both ways tonight. There is the return. On the return crossing, the passenger load is lighter still. 1 or 2 islanders making a late mainland errand that required the final sailing. Morag working her 3rd crossing of the day. The engineer below making his own quiet rounds of the engine room with his own quiet notebook. And the captain, who has made this crossing more times than any arithmetic of crossings and years could fully account for in the wheelhouse, watching the radar and the black water ahead with the particular, completely absorbed attention of someone who is never quite off duty on a vessel this size in water this challenging. The mainland lights appear ahead, growing, resolving from a general warm glow into individual points. The harbor, the pier lights, the small row of street lights in the village above the harbor, the ferry maneuvers, the engines slow, the mooring lines go out, the vessel settles against the pier, and then, almost immediately, it will happen again. The sheep were long since disembarked on the island. Other freight, other passengers will board. The engines will resume their note. The harbor lights will recede. The crossing will begin again. This is what this ferry does. Back and forth, day after day, year after year. The sea between the island and the mainland crossed and recrossed with the patient, faithful, entirely reliable regularity of a heartbeat. Captain Fiona. Let me tell you about the captain briefly, because she deserves her own moment. Her name is Fiona. She is 47 years old. She has been sailing for Calmac for 20 years, working her way through various vessels and various routes before settling into this one. The smaller vessel, the more intimate route, the particular daily satisfaction of a crossing she knows so well that every rock and shoal and tidal set is as familiar as the rooms of her own house. She does not think of this as a small posting or a limited assignment. She thinks of it as exactly right. The small vessel, the island community, depending on the service. The responsibility of the captain's role on a vessel where, unlike on the larger car ferries, she is personally, directly, completely responsible for every aspect of the crossing in a way that can never be distributed across a larger crew. The crossing belongs to her. She owns it, in the sense that a craftsperson owns their work, not financially, but in the sense of full, personal, professional responsibility for its quality and its safety. This ownership of a thing done completely, without delegation, with full personal accountability, is something she has come to value as highly as any other aspect of this work. The crossing is hers. She does it well, every time. The night crossing, on the final night sailing of the day, with the mainland behind and the island lights growing ahead. The saloon empties gradually as passengers gather their bags and move toward the car deck access for the arrival. Mosaic begins closing down the cafeteria counter. The tea urns cooling, their heat elements switched off, the small chalkboard of evening offerings wiped clean, the counter surface wiped, each small action in the particular, unhurried sequence she has performed at the end of every sailing for 22 years. The vessel slows. The island harbor approaches. The engines reverse briefly as Fiona brings the ferry alongside. Lines go ashore. The bow ramp lowers. Cars move off the car deck, their headlights briefly illuminating the pier and the passengers waiting in the island's small terminal building. And then, within minutes, the returning passengers board. The ramp rises. The lines come in. The engines resume. And the ferry turns its bow back toward the mainland. One more crossing, the same crossing, the crossing it has made today and will make tomorrow and every working day that the timetable requires and the sea allows. You are drifting. You are still in the saloon, or somewhere very like it. The swells moving beneath you in their steady, honest rhythm. The engines thrumming their patient note through the deck. Mosaic's tea urn keeping its quiet company nearby. The island lights glow in the forward windows. The mainland lights have disappeared behind you. The sea holds you. The ferry holds you. All of it here. All of it holding you. Your breathing has slowed to match the ferry's own easy, rolling pace. Up the swell, over, down, the pause, and up again. Each cycle complete and unremarkable and entirely reliable. The sea and the vessel in their continuous, patient conversation. This is what a Scottish island ferry teaches, if you allow yourself to receive it, even only in imagination, even only for this one quiet hour before your own sleep arrives. That an interval, a crossing, a passage between is not wasted time, that the time between one place and another, properly received, is its own complete and valuable thing, that being rocked gently by something larger than yourself in a direction that someone experienced and capable has already determined to be safe, is one of the finest forms of rest available to any human body. You do not need to steer. You do not need to watch the sea. Fiona is watching the sea. Morag has the tea urn covered. The engineer has the engines under his careful eye. You can simply rest. The crossing will continue. The island will arrive, or the mainland, or whichever shore is next. And you will have crossed simply by being here, simply by allowing yourself to be carried. The last things, the ferry makes its crossing. The engines thrum their steady, reliable note. The swells come, and the ferry meets them, and they pass, and the next one comes. Morag's counter is closed for the night. Captain Fiona watches the water ahead. The engineer makes his rounds below. The black-faced sheep are on their island now, in their farmer's field, entirely unconcerned with any of this. The bell on the saloon wall hangs in its brass patience. The tea urn cools. The mainland lights are growing, or the island lights, whichever shore comes next. The sea between them, dark and deep, and entirely itself, moving its long swells from west to east exactly as it has always moved them, regardless of what small white vessel happens to be crossing its surface at this particular hour, on this particular September night. The ferry crosses, the engines thrum, the swells pass beneath, one, and the next, and the next. Morag's counter is closed. The tea urn is cooling. Captain Fiona watches the water. The island is ahead, or the mainland, whichever comes next. The sea does not mind which. The sheep are on their island, in their field, not minding anything at all. The brass bell hangs in its patience. The saloon is quiet. One or two passengers, sleeping most of them, rocked by the North Atlantic on a small Scottish ferry, going where it goes, as it always goes. You are held tonight too, by this same crossing, by this same sea, by the particular piece of being carried safely by someone who knows these waters in the direction you need to go. You do not need to steer tonight. You only need to rest the way the passengers rest in their Calmac blue seats, rocked and carried. You are safe. You are warm. You are held on the ferry, on the Sound, in the Scottish dark. The crossing will continue all through the night. The engines will keep their note. The sea will keep its swells. And you can simply rest. Good night, dear friend. Sleep well. Sleep deeply. Good night, and